Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. In this morning's devotion, I really want to start us off with asking one question, and that is this. Where has your focus been over the past couple weeks, couple days, in particular, maybe? I think this is an important question to ask ourselves because as I think about where my own focus has been, what it is that I've been thinking about and what's been occupying my thought life lately, I find to play a very big role in determining my outlook on that particular day and how it is that I conduct myself for that day. And if you guys know me at all, you know that there's a subject that's very dear to my heart, and it's the glory of God. If you're involved in the counseling ministry at all, you know that 1 Corinthians 10:31 is a passage that I think all of our counselors have memorized because I talk about it so much. Whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it for the glory of God. And I think about this idea of what makes the glory of God worth doing everything for, including not just the way I live, but what I think about and what I meditate upon and where my thoughts go. And what is it about the glory of God that's so great and so comprehensive that God tells us that everything in life can be done and should be done for His glory? And it's a passage I ask all of my counselees to memorize because I find that it's one of these passages that it helps direct the trajectory of our lives to a very great degree. All my kids have memorized 1 Corinthians 10:31, probably because 1 Corinthians 10:31 is one of the passages that is what I would call for me a life verse. At a very young age in my Christian walk, the Lord impressed this passage upon me very clearly. And it's been one of these verses that I feel like has helped steered me through life. And it's one of these passages that, again, I find myself going to in times of uncertainty, in times of need. I think about this question a lot, about the glory of God, and I meditate upon it a lot. And so my encouragement for you today, in the midst of all that it is that's going on around us, so many things that are outside of our control, so many things that are going on in the world around us. And one of the things, though, that is within our control is taking captive our thoughts. Scripture tells us to take our thoughts captive in 2 Corinthians chapter 10. And to take those thoughts captive, and I would encourage you specifically today to take those thoughts captive and steer them, funnel them towards thinking explicitly and specifically about God's glory. And I would say, let me give you one reason why, and then let me give you several ways that you can do it. The one reason why that I find most compelling of all to think about and meditate upon specifically God's glory is actually found in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18, and I'll read it to you. And we all, with unveiled faces, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image, from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. One of the most compelling reasons why I think meditating upon God's glory is worth it is because according to 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18, is that God's glory is the means, it's the tool, it's what He uses to transform us into the image of His Son. And for any believer that wants to be more like Christ, this passage is a really wonderful treasure for us because it tells us how we can do that and what God uses in order to make us like His Son Jesus. Now, by beholding the glory of God, we are being transformed into the same image, into the image of Christ, from one degree of glory to another. And so we're being transformed from where we are right now to a greater glory, which is the image of Christ. And so that's the one compelling reason why I think meditating upon God's glory is absolutely worth it, and worth any moment of time that you have that you put into it. Some places in Scripture that I think help us do that better than others is 1 Corinthians 10:31. You think about the glory of God and why everything is worth doing it for. Everything in life is worth doing for His glory. but some passages that talk about the glory of God. In particular, I think of Matthew chapter 17 with the transfiguration of Jesus and Peter's response. It's worth reading through that and thinking through, putting yourself in Peter's position, what they're seeing, what they're hearing in the mountain of transfiguration. I think of Isaiah chapter 6, when Isaiah is transformed, when he sees the glory of God and the train of his robe filling the temple. I think of Ezekiel chapter 1 and how it describes very vividly the glory of God and what it says the impact of that on Ezekiel is as he sees and views the glory of God. And so there's passages like this. I think of Revelation 19, the rider on the white horse, and how Jesus Christ is portrayed as this victorious warrior riding on the white horse, and how that displays the glory of God as well. And so passages like this help us do that. And so practical ways that we can meditate upon the glory of God. One is in prayer and asking God and saying, Lord, I see all throughout the scripture the importance of seeing your glory, understanding your glory, and the impact that it can have on me. Would you please give me eyes to see your glory, that I might behold you in your wonder and be transformed to be more like you. Specifically meditating upon the person and the work of Jesus Christ. We have no clearer representation of the glory of God among humanity other than the person of Jesus Christ. And so think about him. Meditate upon his person, his character, his work. Think about what it is that he's done and taught and said. Even maybe keep that thought in mind as we're going through the book of Luke in our sermon series. Obviously, the scriptures are a very big tool that we use. There's no clearer tool in all of the world than the scripture that reveals to us very clearly and specifically God's character and his glory. And so reading the scripture, meditating upon the scripture, and even looking out and taking a moment to look out upon what the Lord has made and some of his wonderful works, as Psalm 19 says that the heavens declare his glory and they pour forth his praise from day to day. Take a moment, maybe one of these nights, and look up at the stars and the host that it is that God has made. Even amidst the situation that we're in right now, some of these days have been just absolutely beautiful weather that the Lord has given to us. And take a moment and look up at the beautiful blue sky that it is that God has made and blessed us with. Take moments to consciously direct your thinking and your heart towards greater things, towards the greatest thing, towards the glory of God. And watch as it begins to change where your focus is, change your thought patterns, change what it is that you want and love and desire into ultimate things that have to do with him. So I would love to hear how meditating and thinking upon the glory of God impacts you in practical and tangible ways. And so let me know how that goes via text or phone call or email or whatever. I look forward to, again, sharing in these devotions with you as time continues to go on, and pray that they're a blessing to you. God bless.